Hey, what's up, friends? Welcome to today's podcast episode with Brett Goodyear from Yard Mastery. What's up, Brett?
What's happening, dude? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you hosting us down here in your beautiful state, man. I love it in Florida.
I do too. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into Brett's story and passion for the grass, for the lawn. I've been following him on Instagram for over a year and can tell you just are very passionate about not just your golf game, but the actual turf.
I do like golf, but I do like grass. I mean, both they're kind of gone hand in hand.
Absolutely. I grew up on the golf course, so.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's good times down here in Florida, guys. This is all brought to you by our friends at the Launchpreneur Academy and the Hardscape Academy. They sponsored this whole awesome house for us to have the time and space to create content. And also thank you to Kohler Engines, Exmark and CompanyCam for sponsoring our 2022 Kickoff Podcast Tour. I asked Brett a while ago, I was like, hey, I'm going to be down in Florida. Can I interview you? Because it's rare to find someone who's so passionate about the turf. So what made you fall in love with grass?
So you mentioned golf, and it kind of all goes back to I grew up enjoying golf.
Okay.
And I always wanted to have basically like a golf course at my house, but I always lived in like a residential neighborhood, and it wasn't really anything that
you grew up in Metro Atlanta.
I did, just outside of Stone Mountain. But yeah, so I grew up in a little neighborhood, and I never really had the ability to have golf course grass, I thought. And, so I always really liked a nice lawn. And that turned into, a career for me to where I was out in Utah. I got transferred out to Utah. I was working with a company called DoMyOwn.com.
Okay.
I got transferred out to Utah to run the Western U.S. branch for him. And I inherited a lawn that was in pretty good shape. And when I inherited that lawn, I didn't know a ton about grass at the time, but I was working for a company that I had access to all of the professional products that I could ever need to have a nice lawn. And I decided, hey, I really want to keep this lawn nice. And then that kind of snowballed. So it went from, I want to keep this lawn nice that I have to, all right, well, now I've got that kind of down, to, all right, now I want to have the best lawn in the neighborhood. And then it turned into, now I want to have the best lawn in,
North America,
the whole county. And then it was like, all right, well, it got so out of control that I had, what all of my neighbors were like, oh my gosh, you have the nicest lawn I've ever seen.
Wow.
And then I killed that lawn because it wasn't as nice as I wanted.
Wow.
And reseeded and then it turned into where literally people were stopping in the road, and they'd get out of their car and they'd come knock on my door and they'd say, hey, how did you get your lawn like this?
What kind of turf did you have, Brett, and were you real mowing it, or what was your setup out there in Utah? I don't know anything about Utah.
So when I lived in Utah, I had cool season grass. So I had when I initially moved in, I inherited a lawn, and it was kind of a contractor mix. So it was mostly Kentucky bluegrass, a little bit of perennial rye, and some fescue. And I took it from, I was mowing it at like 3.5 inches. And then I slowly brought it down to where I started real mowing it at about 3/4 of an inch. And because of the blend of the grass, I couldn't really go much lower than that. It wouldn't really look good. It would start to yellow if I get below about 3/4 of an inch. And that's when I killed it all off and started all over. I planted perennial rye, 100% perennial rye. And I had it down about 1/2 inch.
Okay.
When I moved from there, but literally people were stopping in their cars, and they'd come knock on my door, and they'd be like, "Hey, I want to know how do you do this? Number one, is that real grass? Like, and then how did you do it?" And I was answering these questions over and over and over again, like the exact same questions. And so then I was like, you know what? I need to just record what I'm doing and put it up on the internet. And then that turned into, having a YouTube channel, and then that kind of snowballed into what I'm doing now, to where that's how I met Allyn, was through YouTube. And that's how he found me, and I was doing something that he needed for yard mastery. And
tell us a little bit more about how you connected. What specifically got you rolling?
So funny story was Allyn was coming out to Utah, and he was like, I mentioned to him, hey, I saw some people complaining online about how things are being shipped to them, and at Do My Own, I was running a shipping center, so it was something that I already knew a lot about. And I was like, hey, when you're in town, let's pop in, let's sit down, and let's see if we can help point you in the right direction, give you a little bit of direction to maybe give you some tips to see if I can help you improve how you guys are doing things. And so he came and we talked for 2 or 3 hours. And at the end of that conversation, he was like, look, I'll be honest with you, man. Why don't you just come do it for me?
Wow.
And
wow.
I told him that he couldn't afford me. And here I am about a year and a half later in Florida working for Yard Mastery in Allyn. So it's been great. It's been a fun experience.
What's happened when you combined his passion for the grass and it, reaching its fullest potential, your passion, and having the products to help others? How's all that chemistry worked out?
It's been great, man. I mean, our Yard Mastery continues to grow, at an amazing pace, and especially with COVID was really beneficial for the lawn and landscape industry as a whole, because so many people were sitting at home, and instead of being in an office downtown, they're sitting in their office at home and they're looking out their window and they're like, wow, my yard looks like crap. And then, hopped on the internet, and then next thing you know, here's a video from somebody showing Yard Mastery products, and it's been huge for us. Yeah,
I think it's been out of sight, out of mind in normal life up until 2020, because people go to work, they come home, they take the kid, they oh yeah, look, yard's looking raggedy, but then it's just kind of like they're on to the next thing. But with everyone looking out their window, like you said, and they're like, man, there's weeds in my yard, it's looking bad. I feel like our industry, from you guys are on more of the DIY side, but even with professionals, I feel like everybody's been elevated because it's been a higher priority if you're going to be around something 8-10 hours a day for it to look nice. So we just all fresh mulch here. We're at the rental home, and they're freshening it up.
Right, so. Because everybody, like you said, if you're sitting there and you're looking at it, especially with how expensive houses are right now, like if you're going to pay $500,000 for a house, you're like, well, I want to make it look good. Yeah. And your lawn and your landscape obviously is a huge part of making your house look good. What's the real estate down here, Brett? Because you've been in, where we're from in Gwinnett County area, and then you've been out west, and you've been down here. How do they kind of compare those three markets? So Georgia is by far the cheapest out of the three. Yeah. Obviously, the closer you get to Atlanta, more expensive it is. But Utah and here are fairly comparable. Really? It's expensive. Yeah. Utah's kind of a hidden gem. I don't want to put that out there, but Utah's awesome. It has a little bit of everything. Outdoors is unreal out there. They got mountains, right? Mountains. You got national parks. You got all kinds of crazy stuff that you don't get in a lot of places. And what's happening in Utah is there's a big exodus from people leaving California and coming to Utah. And people are buying houses sight unseen, paying cash. No big deal, because they're coming from somewhere where, a house that's comparable to what they're able to buy for $500,000 in Utah is $2 million. So it's people will pay outrageous prices compared to what it used to be in Utah. Yeah. And I think the same thing's happening here. We're having the same thing where people are coming from New York or Connecticut or places up north where the cost of living is significantly higher, and they're moving down here and they're driving up the cost of real estate here. I mean, shoot, I've been here a year, and my house has appreciated over $200,000. What? In a year. Big money Brett over here, man. We got to go tee it up. well, all that does for me is raise my property taxes, unfortunately. Oh, yeah. Now, your neighborhood's really nice because I watch you on the Instagram. So coming up, I want to hear about what you're currently mowing with
and about your little project. I was just interviewing the Lawn Tools out in Arkansas, and it sounds like you're kind of going a similar route, building your own Augusta National Golf Club.
I don't quite have the setup that Jordan has there.
Yeah.
He's got way more space, but we both have similar interests, and we both kind of do similar things. He's just got a little bit bigger scale than me. But yeah, so at my house, I moved in about a year and a half ago, and I had a really crappy lawn this time. I inherited a terrible lawn, and so one of the first things we did when I moved in was Allyn told me that if I worked for Yard Mastery, I couldn't have a bad lawn.
That's a great boss. I've never heard that one before.
He said, there's certain rules and certain non-negotiables, and that is one of them. We got to have a nice lawn. So we ripped out my old lawn.
I remember that.
And it was my first time driving a Bobcat, which was not very good. I documented it all on YouTube if you want to see. I ripped up my sprinkler system on accident. I cut the internet cable on accident. All kinds of fun things.
When you were grading, you just sliced right through
you're
it?
right, because I am a DIY guy. I'm not a pro guy.
Did you just use a bucket with teeth or what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I just went through everything. So because I'm a DIY guy and I don't know anything, I am not intelligent enough to do the things that you're supposed to do, like get your utilities marked and all of those things. Yeah. Hindsight being 2020, I would have gotten all that marked and it would have been no big deal. But I totally destroyed my sprinkler system, cut the internet cable, all kinds of fun stuff. Almost broke my main water line. That was a near miss.
So after you kind of scraped out what you had, then did you bring in any soil, or walk us through how you got a masterpiece?
So again, I am no pro. So my lawn is kind of like this.
Oh man!
Because I am not good at grading.
Oh man!
So, but I dug it out. I'm gonna have to smooth and level it all out. But so we tore out all the crap. We hauled it all off, and I brought in some Bermuda.
Okay.
And we laid that, and it all looks great now. I reel mow it. Well, I was reel mowing it. I was reel mowing it for about a year with a Toro Greensmaster Flex 21, which is a 21-inch reel mower that has a floating head on it, because my lawn was so bumpy that I needed a floating head to contour to the lawn. But recently, after going to GIE, so backtrack a little bit to GIE. GIE was a huge eye-opening experience to me, and they had a ton of cool technology. And one of the things that really intrigued me the most was the autonomous mowers, right? So I actually partnered with Husqvarna, and they sent me a new mower that isn't available yet in the U.S. to do some testing with.
Cool.
At this point, that's what I've mowed my lawn exclusively with for going on 3 months, I think.
So walk us through, Brett, what that looks like. How does someone not just come pick it up? It's not that big, and take it to their yard. Like, what's the?
So there's obviously these companies have thought of all that stuff. Like, can somebody come pick it up and take it? Absolutely. But all of these machines, specifically the one that I'm using, which is a Husqvarna, it has a geofence around where the base station is.
Okay.
And so basically it's got a geofence of, I can't remember, like a quarter mile or something like that. And if the mower is taken outside of that geofence, it is going to sound an alarm.
Oh, cool.
And so it's going to just go off forever.
That's pretty cool.
Until the battery dies. So obviously, and it's loud. It's really loud. So you don't want, obviously, somebody wouldn't want to have that going off in their car driving home to their house. And and so even if, let's say they disabled the alarm or whatever, they get it to their house, they're not going to have the serialized base station that it has to go to in order to make it work. They're not going to have the ground wires in place in order to make it work. It's going to be useless for them. They couldn't do anything with it even if they wanted to. It's password and PIN protected. There's tons of fail safes in place in order to make it to where it's not useful for somebody who would steal it. So, and then on top of that, it's got GPS enabled in it. So I would be able to go on my app. I could pick my phone up and go to my app and say, all right, here's exactly where it is.
Got it.
So it's not like
That'd be a fun YouTube video knocking on the door. Hey, you stole my mower.
Right. It would be pretty cool. You want to steal my mower?
No, but you could reenact it. You could have.
Maybe I'll have Allyn steal my mower.
Yeah, he's always doing funky, like animated, dressed up. He gets in his little characters,
Yeah, it'd be fun. That's a good idea, Paul.
Thank you. So we got theft protection out of the way because Gwinnett County's really changed a lot since you've left. And if you leave a backpack blower in the bed of your truck, odds are it's going to get taken.
Right.
I had a guy, Brett. He's a friend of mine. This was back in the day. He had a BR 600, I believe, steel. I use Echo blowers, but BR 600, I think it was. They stole it. So for Father's Day, his wife and children bought him, I think it was, forgive me, steel guys, I don't know. I think it was a BR 700, the updated one or whatever.
No idea.
Okay. So he got the newest backpack blower. Those are like $600.
Right.
And that was his Father's Day gift. And he's literally by the front, mulch bed by a property that he was doing. And his trailer he had an open trailer connected to his truck. The trailer was down. And so the thieves came, and they knew it would take him time to pull his trailer up to chase him off. So they just stole it with him standing 30 feet away. And he packs heat, so he was thinking, but he's like, I can't just shoot him in the middle of the neighborhood. And he was thinking, what if I did? And it just didn't have enough time to go, lift up your trailer. These guys were already gone. They stole it right. The first one, they stole it at Publix, the grocery store. And then the second one, they stole it in visible sight while he was watching them just take his blower and leave.
So
that's why I ask about the mower, because it's sitting unattended, but I'm sure smarter folks than me thought through that.
Right. I mean, and I would imagine that, I'm not 100%, but I know there's a warranty involved. So I'd imagine if it gets stolen and somebody breaks it within a certain amount of time, they would replace it for you.
Yeah.
I would think. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me. But
So what's been your experience putting it in the front yard, letting it do its thing? How's the quality of the cut? Have you had any issues?
So I put it in my backyard.
Okay.
Me and Allyn put in the ground wire. It took us, honestly, I thought it was going to be really labor intensive. Mm-hmm. It took us maybe 2 hours.
Okay.
So what you have to do is you have a base station, and there's a ground wire that goes around the area that you want the mower to mow. Mm-hmm. And so you install that. I did it where I took a stick edger and I ran a stick edger to run a little shallow trench that was maybe 2 inches deep.
Good idea.
Put it in there. We put some stakes in to make sure it wouldn't come up. Smoothed it back over, and the wire's gone. You can't tell it was there. Mm-hmm. So like I said, it took about 2 hours to do that, and then basically you let it go. And it's really like getting a puppy. Because the way that these mowers work is they're just like Roombas at this point. Your vacuum inside your house. They just kind of bumble around your yard and randomly mow. And what happens is over the first couple of weeks, you're going to realize all of the things and obstacles and places that this mower can find trouble. Just like a little puppy, it's going to get into trouble. So I made the mistake I installed it, and then 3 days later, I went up to Atlanta for a 4 or 5 day weekend or something to go see family. And sure enough, while I was gone, it got stuck every single day.
Wow.
And so every single day, I would text Allyn, and I'd be like, hey, man, I need you to go by my house and get the mower unstuck, because it had found a new place that, okay, well, there's a little dip in the yard that was too deep, and the back wheel got stuck, and now it's high-centered. You know what I mean? And after I got all of those places figured out and fixed, I haven't had any issues with it at all since then. So now it just goes 100% autonomously, completely without problem, and it just mows, does its job, goes back to its home, comes back out, goes back to its home, and it does a great job.
That's fantastic. Well, Brett, I appreciate you guys coming all the way out. How long of a drive was it from where you are down to Siesta Key?
Like 45 minutes.
Okay, well, I appreciate Toro sent us 2 mowers to give away by the time this video comes out, podcast. The mowers were already have been given away. So shout out to Toro. They gave us 2 mowers that are really heavy, if I remember correctly.
Oh, they're freaking huge.
Really?
Yeah.
Are there 21s, right?
Yeah, they're 21s, but they weigh like 200 pounds.
Yeah, I think
they're the commercial battery mowers.
Yeah, I think they're like $1,800 MSRP, if I remember.
Yeah, they're awesome mowers.
Yeah, so 2 lucky people are going to win those at Armature Works this weekend, and by the time this comes out, we'll already have that photo out there for you guys. But Brett and Allyn, they drove 45 minutes, loaded that up, and really served us. We have like 20 lawn landscape creators here at the house, so they had 2. So we're like, well, we could bring 20 people to you, or as a long shot, could we bring y'all to us? And so thank you for serving, and coming on down and taking so much time out of your day. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Glad to do it.
How can people connect with Yard Mastery and Brett Goodyear? Is that your real name?
It is my real name.
For real?
For real. For real. For real.
Okay, because in radio and TV, it's like people have fake names.
No, I don't. I'm not.
That's a pretty cool name.
I'm not fancy enough to have a fake name.
Well, Goodyear. It's like it's going to be a good year. That's a cool last name,
Thanks, man. You can find Yard Mastery, obviously, at yardmastery.com. You can look us up on YouTube. We have Allyn has a channel as the Lawn Care Nut. I have a channel. It's Brett's Grasscapades, and you can look me up on Instagram at Brett Goodyear.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for the time. I'm going to try to get Boss Man around here, see if we can find the Lawn Care Nut and get him on the program as well. So,
Perfect.
Thanks a lot, Brett.
You're welcome.